this section, we're going to cover your real estate team. And you can't do everything. You can't be an expert in everything. As the CEO, founder of your real estate business, if you're solo at the beginning, that can't be helped. You need to build up your capital. You need to build up your team over time, your cash flow over time. Maybe at the start, you do need to do everything, but you can bring in, temporary contractors or specialists to help you in different areas, because no matter how much you learn, you're never going to know taxes as well as a CPA or an accountant. No matter how much you do, if you spend all your time doing the accounting for your property, you're not out there looking for deals. So there's a positive and negative to doing some things yourself at the start, but it does take away time from where your special skills are. And you may find that, doing deals makes you the most money and the most return. So you spending your hard-earned, your limited time on accounting, on bookkeeping, on due diligence might not be the best use of your time. You can double or triple your business by raising capital and going out there and closing deals. So sooner or later, you're going to need to bring in firstly a part-time team and then more full-time as you have the capital and the cash flow to support that. As we said, you can't do everything. You're bringing in industry expertise. So maybe you're new to the storage business. You've started investing in storage. What if you brought on a partner or a team member who's extremely experienced, for example, in due diligence? They may be able to spot things and save you money or make you more money than you could on your own. With teams, there's a simple rule. 1 + 1 = 3. It doesn't equal 2. For example, if I'm doing everything, there's only so much I can do. If I bring on someone else, for example, to do all the accounting or the finance or the admin, together we can do more than either one of us could by ourselves. The person doing the accounting, the finance by themselves, that they're limited to just that. I'm great at deal sourcing. I can do all of that part. Together, we can grow the company much, much faster. So you can either do this through a partner or an employee, but usually bringing on team members to take away tasks that suck up your time ends up actually giving you a much bigger boost than the cost. Deep knowledge of a specific area takes time too. For example, the day-to-day operations of a self-storage facility. Maybe it takes you a couple of years to really get good at it. But what if you can bring on a manager who's been running facilities for the last 10 years? From day one, you've got excellent management in place. Redundancy, another big one. What if you're sick for a week? What if your manager's sick for a week? What if your accountant's sick for a week? These things happen. Personal things come up, people get sick, family reasons, all kinds of things. But if you've got a team, that's where, if one member falls down, the others can pick up the slack, nothing stops, you keep driving forward. Another great thing about having a team is you can share your ideas and experience. So let's say you're looking at a property. Someone else on your team might have had experience with a similar kind of asset. For example, it could be an expansion play. It could be that they've seen these problems before. They've seen those issues before. Or, for example, they know that particular town or know that area very well, so they can provide insight that way. By having a team, you're able to share these experiences, share these ideas. So your 5 years experience plus the 5 years experience of everyone in your team gives you basically 30 years experience when looking at a new project or a new deal. It helps you to balance decision making. How? Because you've got this other set of eyes looking at things. Sometimes when you're solo or you're doing things your way, you're jumping here, you're jumping there, you're looking at this, you want to do that, you think this is the best strategy. Having these other people also take a look gives you a more rounded picture. I'm not saying you have to do everything by committee and everyone has to agree on everything. But again, like with just sharing ideas and sharing experience, having someone else's counter view can sometimes help you see maybe weaknesses or risks in a deal that you didn't see before. Consistent performance. Again, like we said, the redundancy, but also having a team means that someone's responsible for each specific area, and so the performance in that area is great. If you're busy one week on finding deals and you're doing everything, then maybe the accounting gets left behind. But if you've got someone always taking care of accounting, someone always taking care of marketing, someone always taking care of finding deals, then those things are happening consistently, instead of wherever your focus is that day, that's the only thing that's happening, right? If it's just you, if you're working on accounting, you're not working on deal finding. So that's why it's really important to start to build up your team as well. You have a greater networking effect. So your team also has a network of their own. Every time they go out, every time they meet people, your industry contacts grow too. That could be investors, that can be new potential staff, that can be new potential deals too. You also get more trust from partners, investors, and banks. If you're raising money and on your presentation it's just you and nobody else, banks and investors are going to be like, what if you get hit by a bus? What happens to our capital then? What happens to the money then? It's essential that you have this team because it, one, builds your credibility and trust, but then also allows you to scale and expand your business. So hopefully this gives you some other perspective on why having a team is important, and it's not just an expense. A really great team is going to add so much value to your bottom line. You should never ever see office staff, all of these things as expenses. They're investments. You're either choosing to invest in growing your team and in growing your business, or you're going to be stagnant and limit yourself to your growth if you don't do that too. So who should be on your team? What you really need, is a great accountant, CPA, someone who can help you with all of the finances and taxes. There's the day-to-day operational accounting and taxes for properties. There's the looking at the profit and loss and the due diligence. There's the modeling financial of any deal that you're looking to do. If you're buying properties, obviously you need operations and management. You need someone to help you manage the asset. You can be doing that internally, you can be doing it externally, but sooner or later you're going to need a manager to check on the asset's performance and run it day to day, and that same person can help you then on the due diligence prior to buying any asset too. If you're doing things like expansions, construction, improvement, it helps to have someone on your team, or at least be very friendly with a contractor or someone with construction experience so that they can guide you on this process. It's very detailed and very complicated. Even though self-storage facilities are relatively simple to construct, if you've never built anything before, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and you need to know how to handle all of the different contractors and people involved in the project too. Legal counsel. You're buying properties, there's legal agreements involved. Even if it's just you buying an asset, there's legal agreements involved. If you bring on partners, then you have operating agreements. If you create a fund, then there's even more complex agreements. It helps to have great legal counsel who can just review documents and pinpoint any potential issues in advance of them becoming an actual issue as well. A loan broker. So if you're financing your deal, it helps to have someone who is an expert and has a great network of banks already. One, they can check all your loan documentation, they can check all the way you've structured the deal as well. They'll be able to look at the deal and see whether a bank might be interested or not, and they can help you get a much better loan and financing than you could potentially on your own. Marketing. If you're looking to scale your real estate business, you need marketing to sellers, so you can buy more properties, acquisition marketing. If you own a self-storage facility, you need to market that facility as well. If you're looking to get investors, you need to market to investors, whether that's pitch decks, a website, etc. So a marketing person can add a lot of value to your team as well. Acquisition specialist. At the beginning, you may look at every deal yourself, but over time, what you want is to have a team and a system so that somebody's looking at deals and only presenting you the best opportunities to say yes or no on. You want someone else to be filtering out all of the rubbish for you so that you're only looking at great potential deals and then arranging everything to make sure you can close on those deals as well. Having an acquisition specialist also means that you're constantly in the market, constantly looking, constantly evaluating deals, and you've got a second pair of eyes on the deal that you can bounce off. Fundraising, investor relations. The main limit of businesses in real estate is capital. Let's say you have $500,000 and you deploy that $500,000, you've bought an asset for, let's say, $2.5–3 million with your $500,000 equity. You own that asset. How do you buy the second one? And not until you sell the first one will you have the capital to then buy the second one, essentially. So the only way to scale then is to bring in investors, fundraise, etc. So it does help to have someone with an investor network or partnership to bring on capital to help you scale deals. I'm not saying you have to need all these people day one, But you should start making contacts in each of these areas, and at least have someone you can go to or turn to for advice in those areas at the beginning, and potentially hire them as part-time consultants on a deal-by-deal basis as you need them to. So what are some of the things you should consider when you're hiring your team? They definitely need to have a great experience and understanding of their particular skill and industry. For example, if you're hiring a CPA, you don't want to hire your sister's cousin's friend who just got out of college and can do a little bit of accounting. You want to filter by someone who's got real life experience doing the thing that you want to do. And that means specifically real estate knowledge and ideally deep self-storage knowledge. The more knowledge they have in a specific asset class that you are investing in this case self-storage, the more they can impact you positively as well. You want to check referrals and references for these people, who they've worked with before. A CV or resume says a lot about them, of course, but you don't really know the person until you've hired them and worked with them for a while, and the next best way to find out is to speak with the people who they've worked with before and get some feedback. It could be that this person's very, argumentative, and that's why they left their last company. They look fantastic on paper, their resume is great, but they have interpersonal skill issues. The other thing to understand when you're hiring someone is, what are their personal goals and objectives? Is this someone that's going to stick around for 3 to 5 years? If they're planning on moving out of town, if they're planning on slowing down or not working so much, or whatever it is that drives them, you need to understand so you can see, is this person going to be a good fit for my business for 3 years, 5 years, the long term? Of course, you're not expecting them to stay forever, but you do want them in for the long ride, because as you build the team and you build those skills, their knowledge becomes essential to your team's success. You want someone with great interpersonal skills, someone very professional, because real estate, there can be moments where people make mistakes. You're dealing with lots of money. There's sometimes pressure. There's sometimes stress. You want someone who can handle that coolly, professionally, deal with people well, and work through any potential issues as well. And of course, the number one most important is you want someone that's trustworthy, honest, reliable, stable, a team player. And how do you know if they're honest or trustworthy? That's just something you pick up with experience and time, but that's why you shouldn't rush a hire. Take your time to get to know someone, do a few rounds of interviews if you need to, but really, honesty and trust are the core of everything else. If you've got someone really good, but they're dishonest, it's going to work against you. If you've got someone really good, but they're not reliable and they drop the ball now and then, it's going to cost you. So, having someone reliable and trustworthy and honest and stable is just as important as their background and skills and experience. Because if they've got all of those things, but they're not reliable, then it's not gonna help your business. They might not be there at the key times when you need them. Transactions might not get done, etc. So, just to recap, having a team can actually help you really scale your business. You can take away some of the tasks that are on your plate, give them to someone else who's an expert who can do them much better, leaving you to focus on, actually growing your business, actually getting deals done, raising capital, closing on properties, expanding your portfolio and scaling. But also it gives you that redundancy. You're building a real company, a real business. There's other people helping you do the work. It's not always all on you. If you're off for a day, everything stops. But if you have a team, everything continues. Whether you're there or not, that's a real team. That's a real business.
For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening.